Good evening. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. This is your 11 p.m. update, at least based on the National Hurricane Center's 11 p.m. update on Hurricane Ida. Ida is rapidly strengthening. It came off the western tip of Cuba pretty much unscathed. It looks like it still has an eye wall, and now it's entering into a very warm part of the Gulf of Mexico. As a matter of fact, most of the entire Gulf of Mexico is above average as far as temperatures go, between 85 and like 89 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see what it looks like here from the standpoint of the satellite. It has a really good presentation. Some of the thunderstorms are continuing to wrap around the center of the storm. And when I say good presentation, I mean it's got a good presentation because it's starting to intensify. It doesn't mean that it's good that it's intensifying, but certainly poses a terrible threat to southern Louisiana. And so it looks like the forecast path of Ida is going to take it right into southern Louisiana, right about here. I'll show you the track in GeoCollaborate in just a moment, but we can zoom in just for a moment on this storm, and you can see what's going on. Some of these darker clouds that you see are higher thunderstorm tops, which means it is already starting to intensify further. Now, GeoCollaborate, I widened out a little bit to show you what it looks like here. The track has remained relatively the same, maybe shifted a tad bit to the east, with the Hurricane Center still taking Ida up to a Category 4 storm by Sunday morning. Some of the models take it a little bit higher. Other models don't take it as high right before landfall. And it looks like the Hurricane Center has actually forecast a landfall at Category 3 and not Category 4. So we'll have to see how this develops over the course of the next day and a half, because the conditions are super ripe for Ida to rapidly intensify and maintain that intensity. The only thing that may bring it down in some intensity is an eye wall replacement cycle. And we certainly, the science isn't there to be able to forecast that exactly when that's going to happen. But let's just dive into this here for just a moment. You can see here, this is the radius of tropical storm force winds, the Category 1 storm with 80-mile-per-hour winds. And by tomorrow morning, it's forecast to be a Category 2 hurricane, and then rapidly intensified to a Category 3 hurricane by 8 p.m. tomorrow evening, and then into a Category 4 hurricane by Sunday morning. Now, the extent of tropical storm winds is expected to spread out to get a little larger. So you must finish your plans in southern Louisiana of preparing during the day tomorrow. There's no time to do anything Saturday night. You really have to hunker down. And as this storm gets closer, weather is going to go downhill very, very quickly. It's going to impact critical infrastructure within Louisiana, within Mississippi, and potentially within southern Alabama. But the storm, as you can see, as we move a little bit further to the north, is expected to slow down over Louisiana and then turn to the northeast. Unfortunately, impacting Tennessee as well, where they just came through last weekend a major state record-setting rainfall in Waverly, Tennessee, where they had 17 inches of rain and 20 people were killed. So as Ida approaches the coastline, the wind field should spread out and storm surges will begin to be felt. They will probably begin to be felt tomorrow evening because it's going to be pushing a lot of water up to the north. So what I want to show you here is an example of the expected arrival of tropical storm forced winds. And so when that is expected to arrive here, you can see Sunday around 8 o'clock in the morning is when the tropical storm force winds are expected to arrive in the extreme southeastern Louisiana and then overtake the central and southern part of the state by Sunday at about 8 p.m. And so I'm zooming in just a little bit further here so you can see uh, we should have a Category 4 storm approaching the coastline, possibly becoming a Category 3. That's still a major hurricane with substantial damage expected when this storm makes landfall. Matter of fact, the soil is so saturated, it's not going to take high winds for a long period of time to topple trees. So that's what we expect with the winds that'll be gusting to 110 miles per hour, perhaps even higher when this storm makes landfall in Louisiana. And you can see it's just to the west of New Orleans, which is just about the worst case scenario you can think of for a hurricane making landfall in southern Louisiana. Now, I do want to widen this out a little bit. I'll show you what it looks like here from this standpoint. This is the arrival of tropical storm force winds. I'm going to turn that off. And I want to show you the surge prediction for Louisiana. And I'm going to turn off the state. The state is red because the governor of Louisiana has declared a state of emergency. So that means that it opens up some more authority for the governor to call out the National Guard and bring them in for assistance. I'm just going to turn that off because I want you to see just how much of the area is expected to see storm surge. Look at this. The area in Louisiana is black. That's because there are levees down here. I can turn the track off as well. Let me do that with the hurricanes here. Hurricane tropical storm. I'll turn off the active storms. And here we go with expected storm surge. And this is pretty significant. You can see now the black areas are where the levees are. There is a chance that there could be some overtopping of levees. Like there's an opening right here because this is very swampy area. But this is Plaquemines Parish right down in here, and there's mandatory evacuation for Plaquemines Parish. And as you get up towards New Orleans, this is the area where the levees are put in to prevent flooding. Now, most of the pumps, I think all but one, are active and ready to begin pumping water out of the city. However, it can only do it at a rate of about a ½ inch an hour. And once those levees or once the rainfall exceeds an inch an hour, it's going to be very tough for the pumps to keep up. So there's likely to be flooding in downtown New Orleans. And even though there is no time to have a mandatory evacuation of New Orleans, there is a voluntary evacuation of New Orleans. And earlier today, the governor of Louisiana had a press conference, and he just talked about the seriousness of this storm. And I'll get to that in just a moment. Now, what I want to show you as well is the forecast track of Ida is expected to be here just to the west of New Orleans. And you can see that here. Here's New Orleans here, and here's the track. Now, Sunday is the 16th anniversary of the landfall of Hurricane Katrina. And I want to show you the path that Katrina took. I do have that on radar here, and I want to show that to you here. So this is the radar data in 2005 when Katrina was approaching New Orleans. And you can see there that the eye was very distinct. Katrina actually weakened to a Category 2 hurricane. You can see the eye wall, and it passed just to the east of New Orleans. Just to the east, with very, very strong northerly winds coming across Lake Pontchartrain and pounding into those levee walls. So that was in 2005 with Hurricane Katrina. It looks like now the the expectation for the landfall of Ida is going to be to the west of New Orleans, where the strong winds are going to be coming in off of the Gulf with a very long fetch, dumping into Lake Pontchartrain. So there's going to be tremendous pressure on these levees, which are designed to hold up. And officials say if you are in and sheltering in place in downtown New Orleans, you should be fine. And so we're going to keep monitoring that situation as the storm starts to grow and gets closer. But it's too late to evacuate New Orleans on a mandatory evacuation. However, let me show you what the governor of New Orleans, or the governor of Louisiana, had to say today. It's certainly a serious storm.
What I can tell you is Hurricane Ida is rapidly intensifying, and the situation is changing, it seems, by the hour. We now believe that there is a strong likelihood that this will be a Category 4 hurricane at landfall. That's how quickly the storm is developing. And so the next 24 hours are very, very important. Now is the time to finish your preparations. And I want to encourage everyone to understand that by nightfall tomorrow night, you need to be where you intend to ride out the storm.
This is stronger than Laura from last year. This will be a life-altering storm for those who aren't prepared and ready to take what Ida is going to throw at us later this weekend.
So that's for sure. And the National Weather Service is doing a terrific job keeping the officials and emergency managers updated and the governor updated on the potential impacts. This is a day 3 significant weather outlook by the Weather Prediction Center, and this is flash flooding that is likely in this area in southeast Louisiana, because the amount of rainfall that's expected is between 10 and 15 inches of rain. We're going to keep updating that as the Weather Prediction Center updates their forecast, but it is certainly a very serious storm. As a matter of fact, the storm is going to be moving fast enough and is not giving the city of New Orleans time to evacuate. And here is what the mayor of New Orleans had to say earlier this evening in a press conference.
Our time for even implementing contra-flow, we don't have the time to do so. Therefore, the city cannot issue a mandatory evacuation because we don't have the time. We have pivoted to 1, voluntary evacuation. Absolutely, this is the time. In addition to that, it really does speak to our ability, like we've had to do in the past, because of the lack of time, the need to shelter in place, hunker down. It is vitally important.
And so that's for sure. You have to hunker down if you have no way to get out of New Orleans and you are not prepared to evacuate. This is what it looks like from the amount of rainfall that's expected to move through southern Louisiana. This is a 15-inch bullseye right in here, and then lesser amounts, 13 inches and 12 and 10 inches as you get further away. And I just want to show you the swath of precipitation that's expected with this storm as it makes landfall and then goes inland and recurves. So even those folks as far as northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, into Tennessee should prepare for major floods over the next couple of days. We'll keep you posted. We'll update again around noontime tomorrow after the 11 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Thanks for watching this update. I'm meteorologist Dave Jones. This was a Fleet Response Working Group sensitive information sharing environment update for the 11 p.m. advisory on this Friday, September 27th, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching.